So, in this discussion, we're going to cover two main topics. First, we're going to explore the panel's lived experiences within the LGBTQIA+, etc. communities from a range of different perspectives. Then we will consider what it means to be an ally and how best to demonstrate allyship in practical terms.
I did a law degree at Westminster and then continued to work at Westminster. It's a great place to always come back to. It's always like home. I am intersex, which is the main kind of thing I talk about a lot, which means I get to talk about my genitals way too much for people's own preferences. Intersex, for those of you who don't know, means when someone is born with physical sex characteristics that don't fit the ideas of what we are traditionally taught as being explicitly male or female. So it's all to do with science and biology and endocrinology and lots of other things which I won't attempt to explain, but essentially it means that when I was born the doctors couldn't tell straight away whether I was a boy or a girl, and I made a film about it. I've got a new film coming out soon and I basically talk about it way too much and my parents don't like it, but I love it. I'm also bi, and that's another hidden thing which people don't talk about often. Bisexuals are the most hidden part of the LGBTQIA+ community for various reasons, and one of the main reasons is that some of us can be in straight passing relationships and other people tend to use unfortunately bi as a stepping stone to another identity and therefore invalidate it when people who are bi actually talk about their experiences. So not always by choice, but bi people are quite hidden across different communities. So I think for me one of the most important things about allyship is listening to other people's stories and making space for people to share their experiences, because there are so many times people tend to just have one image of what the LGBT community is, but actually we all use different acronyms as well. I most of the time say LGBTQIA+, but then there are some spaces that are just LGBTI and some places which are just LGBT, and then there are some which are very different as well. So it's really important that we all understand the importance of terminology and respecting each other and being friends to the various communities within our acronym.
Hi there, my name's Georgia and my pronouns are she and her. So I'm on my second year of my MA degree here at the University of Westminster, and I am also the president of the LGBTQ+ Society. So my lived experience is, I think, quite an interesting one. I identify as lesbian and I grew up partially in the United States. I am from England, but my parents moved and so I moved with them when I was younger. So I think it was really interesting growing up in that space and learning about who I was in that environment, just simply because of the culture of the area that I was around. I was lucky in that our school did have an LGBT society, which I was part of, but I think I was always part of it more as an ally than identifying with the community. And that was definitely based around, I think, fear of being accepted and being able to express myself in the way I felt comfortable. So yeah, I think allyship can be really important to allow someone to express themselves and to be who they are and to give them permission to feel safe in their own self.
Firstly, on the alphabet, the reason I picked queer AF as a name is that what I love about the word queer is it covers the broad spectrum of identities in one word. As a radical queer on campus that upset a lot of hierarchy back when I was on campus, it's really exciting to be on with you. What I remember even back then was a society. I was at a constitutional vote where we decided what letters of the alphabet we wanted to go with that year. So it's really exciting to see that like language and that identity of our community is constantly changing. And I think that's like a really important thing to take forward when you're thinking about allyship around kind of the queer community, is that we are always changing. We're this kind of fluid, beautiful thing. It's really difficult to pin us down. And when it comes to like deciding kind of labels and like what to say and when to say it, I find the best way to do it is just to ask and speak to the people in your room. I think it's really great, for example, that we're talking about our pronouns tonight, because normalizing that as a thing that we can all do is a really great example of how we can be allies to the trans and non-binary community, because by talking about our pronouns like it's something that we all do, actually I find really valuable as well, because the amount of times I've been on the phone and they say madam to me and I'm like, I know I've got a slightly effeminate queer voice, but that doesn't mean we need to guess my gender from that. So I think there's lots of kind of ways where we can kind of pull from our own lived experiences to start to empathize with others around us. And as growing up as a teenager in Basingstoke, which is honestly the most most average place in the whole of the UK. And then coming to London as that opportunity to kind of come out and be that radical queer I always wanted to be. Yeah, I certainly had the opportunity and I've had the great privilege, I guess, over the years of being a gay man within the community.
I think even if it wasn't an ally that was advocating for the whole LGBT community, I think you can be an ally to one person, or you can be an ally to somebody you know. And I think that's such an important step, because maybe I think it can seem quite overwhelming to feel like you have to support the whole community, you have to advocate for everybody all the time, when I think the reality of it is you can be an ally to a friend, to a family member, to somebody you know. And that's not to say you can then turn around and dismiss anybody else's needs, but I think it's about the pressure we're putting on other people to understand and accept us.
Here's a story for you. I was in a newsroom and the boss was wearing a pink tie, and someone made a comment about, oh, it's a gay tie, it's such a gay tie. And anyway, I was brand new in this newsroom and everyone went one by one around the newsroom, and the boss went, do you think it's a gay tie? Yeah. Do you think it's a gay tie? Yeah. Is a pink tie a gay tie? Yeah. And I got all the way around. Honestly, I've been there 3 weeks and I was like, my goodness, this is my moment to come out in front of a newsroom of people that have just said this pink tie is gay. I actually said, I don't think an inanimate object can be gay. And he went, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Jamie's got his sensible head on. Yeah. For me, that was like a really scary moment and an example of like a small nudge of like allyship. Like he could have like intervened much earlier, right? It was like a really nice moment where he, as someone in power in that room, kind of said to everyone, yeah, shut up, everyone. That was all nonsense what you just did there. And this one new kid that's just joined the team has just reminded you all why that's the case.
So to give you an example, I grew up in a very, I wouldn't say conservative household, but one that was quite a paradox. My family saw sexuality as like a Western thing. It was like sexuality and the idea of being gay is natural, but it's a Western idea. Like who you have sex with is your own business and it shouldn't be paraded around, that kind of thing. And so that was the kind of behavior that I inherited and was taught. And it took me until I got to university to actually come out and unlearn those things. And I didn't come out until my 3rd year, and it was university that did that to me, gave me a space to meet other people and have discussions and reach out to people who have different experiences to me, because I was not only dealing with internalized homophobia, but I was dealing with internalized racism. Because one of the things that really struck me was I would often call it a coconut, and for people who don't know what that means, it's someone who's brown or black on the outside but white on the inside. And I would get called that by people who were from my own community. They would say, because I consume a particular type of culture, it means that that's all I'm interested in, and actually I'm just brown for show. But what I realized was, when it came to my queer identity and my ethnicity and my race and my culture, I tried to separate them all so much that actually that was what was causing the problem. And years later, when I started volunteering for UK Black Pride, was when I got the chance to realize that actually there is queerness in every single culture that exists. There are so many different TV shows, films and movies and books that are out where you can get a glimpse into other people's lived experiences. BFI Flair Festival is starting soon, and that has an incredible lineup of different films from all around the world that you can actually get some insight into LGBTQIA+ stories. A selfish plug, rather. One of my films is going to be there as well. It's my acting debut. I have one line, it's so cool, but you can watch that at the Flair Festival. But there's also lots of different books, and this one was like £2 from A to Z, and then there's like queer poets of color. There are so many different books you can get that can teach you about being an ally.